Live from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
Stories around the world, stories here at home. This is the National News broadcast bringing to you live from the National News Studios here at Rupavahini. A very good evening to you. I'm Charita Vinipurarachi.
And I'm Hishai Nali. Let's have a look at the headlines for tonight. An interim injunction issued preventing Deshabandhu Thennakoon acting as the IGP. The Cabinet's response regarding the Supreme Court decision over the IGP will be announced within next 2 days. The President says responsibility of promoting Buddhist education will be achieved facing any difficulty. 3,000 clergy and lay students were provided with scholarships. The central bank further reduced the policy interest rates, foreign reserves increase. The Japanese government officially announced the decision to resume stalled development projects in Sri Lanka. The Nepal plane crash claims 18 lives. The pilot saved his life.
On to those and other stories in detail now, and starting off with the top story. The Supreme Court today issued an interim order preventing the IGP Deshabandhu Thennakoon acting on his post.
And accordingly, the Supreme Court has ordered this president to appoint a suitable officer for the post during the effective period of this injunction order. This order was issued by the three-member panel of judges including Yasantha Kodagoda, Achala Vengapuli and Mahinda Samyawardana. President Judge of the panel Yasantha Kodagoda stated that the petitioners have proven an effective case before the Supreme Court through this petition. The judges also stated that a decision will be taken to summon a case against the respondents, namely the Attorney General, Speaker Mahinda Yapabewardena and Deshabandhu Thennakoon. In addition, respondent Deshabandhu Thennakoon has been ordered to not act as the IGP and achieves the duties of IGP portfolio. Thereby, the panel of judges ordered the relevant parties to file any objections against the decision within a period of 6 weeks. The case will be resummoned on the 11th of November, and the President Judge Yasantha Kodagoda stated that this case was considered for several days, even after the duty hours, due to the importance of this case. He also thanked all the lawyers who extended their support to hear this case. The petitioners of this case are Archbishop, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjith, Young Journalists Association and several other parties. Filing 9 petitions before the Supreme Court, they have pointed out that Deshabandhu Thennakoon's name, which was recommended by the President for the post of IGP, has not been properly approved by the Constitutional Council. At the vote taken place within the Constitutional Council members, 4 has voted for, 2 has voted against and another 2 abstained from voting. At this occasion, the Speaker, with the opinion of the 2 abstained members voted against, has used his decisive vote detrimental to the clauses of the Constitution. The petitioners had pointed out that accordingly the Constitutional Council has not properly approved the name of Deshabandhu Thennakoon for that appointment. They have also stated that accordingly the appointment made by the President is null and void before the law. Meanwhile, the Cabinet of Ministers has decided to express its response over the Supreme Court decision given regarding the IGP within the next 2 days after deeply considering the legal aspects of this decision.
The Cabinet met under the patronage of President Ranil Wickremesinghe at the Presidential Secretariat this evening. They expressed views regarding the Supreme Court decision given over the IGP. They said that there were a number of legal problems in this decision. Cabinet spokesman Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena said that accordingly the Cabinet will study the decision deeply and express its response within the next 2 days. The Cabinet of Ministers has received the Supreme Court decision only this evening. Therefore, the Cabinet needs time to study this matter in depth. Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena added that the Cabinet unanimously decided to express its response within the next 2 days.
Moving on, official foreign reserves of Sri Lanka has increased up to $5.6 billion and the Central Bank of Sri Lanka has taken measures to further reduce the policy interest rates, and the Central Bank says that this decision has been taken considering the current and projected macroeconomic development conditions within the country.
Accordingly, a standing deposit facility rate was reduced to 8.25 and standing lending facility rates was reduced to 9.25, and the statutory reserve ratio remained unchanged. With the cut yesterday, the total reduction in policy interest rates during this easing policy cycle, which started in June 2023, has been 725 basis points. On the inflation updates, we see downward revisions to energy prices have broadly helped the headline inflation to ease in the recent months. Even though we have seen some gradual pickup in core inflation, largely due to the statistical base effect, we don't see any sustained acceleration in the core inflation going forward. The headline inflation is projected to remain notably below the targeted level of 5% in the upcoming several months. However, after undershooting for a continued period, we expect inflation will align to the targeted level of 5% in the medium term. There are several upside risks to the inflation projections in the near term. However, over the medium term, inflation will be maintained around the targeted level of 5% with appropriate policy measures. On the growth side, we see recovery in domestic economic activity. The economy has shown its recovery momentum by recording a growth for the third consecutive quarter during the first quarter of 2024. Going forward, this rebound is expected to sustain, supported by transmission of relaxed monetary policy stance to the market interest rates, enhanced supply conditions, rebound in external demand conditions, revival of tourism, and the dissipation of uncertainties related to debt restructuring.
Times. Do you think you have space to go for non-monetary policy strategies to boost credit and economic growth?
I don't think there's no administrative, basically, credit administration is not part of central bank policy now. It's very clearly monetary policy inflation targeting framework, which is best for the country, is targeting short-term interest rates, and we expect that could be transmitted through market-based mechanism. Through the economy. I don't think central bank has no intention to have non-market-based monetary policy instruments or tools.
The statement issued this morning says there are upside risks to inflation projections stemming from factors such as possible realization of demand for higher wages. Is CBSL anticipating any fresh demands from the state sector for increased salaries in the coming months?
There is a wage increase. It will have an impact on the inflation expectations and some demand factor. But in our assessment, when we see upside to the inflation, what we see right now, short-term indicator-based inflation is running less than 1% going forward. So even if that is increased, some risk of increased wages, I don't think there's a risk of at least going into the reaching the target of 5%. I don't think there can't be a wage pressures that will drive inflation from 1% to 5%. That's why we are very confident that measure that we have taken. And if there's any evidence of demand pressure coming up, obviously we have several ways and means you can address. But right now we don't see that. Obviously that's what he highlights, a risk, both upside and downside. There are both sides risks. For example, now electricity tariff reduction, second round impact of that on the prices and services could be even inflation could be lower than what we have projected. So that has happened even if you look at the last monetary policy review projection versus what was realized is actually a risk on the downside.
There are suggestions that the vehicle import ban should be relaxed, and has the central bank done any assessment on what kind of impact it would have on the exchange rate if it's relaxed now?
When you do our projections on the external balances, current account, reserve build-up, certainly take into account the potential growth in imports in several areas. Is one of the areas would be if government relaxes the vehicle import restriction, then obviously we have understanding of to what extent this will have impact on the current account deficit this year as well as this next year. So we have taken into consideration all these factors, and this way we think when this year as government, I think understanding what they have indicated is to relax some of the commercial vehicles the first. So with that we have already factored in what could be the impact. Still this year in our predictions current account will be a surplus like the last year, maybe smaller surplus, but still there will be a surplus. That's why we think we have an external balance and reserve path. We have already incorporated any potential impact in those areas.
And meanwhile, President Ranil Wickremesinghe reaffirmed his unwavering commitment to advancing Buddhist education in Sri Lanka, regardless of the challenges faced. He made these declarations during a scholarship awarding ceremony held at the temple trees today. At the ceremony, 3,000 scholarships were awarded to assist student monks, Silamathas at Piriven and Silamatha educational institutions and lay students across the country. This was a part of the Residential Scholarship Program 2024 organized by the President's Fund under the directives of the President. Scholarships are being offered to student monks studying up to the Piriven ordinary level, Silamatha and lay students studying up to GCE ordinary level. An amount of 9,000 rupees has been directly credited to the accounts of these students, along with the outstanding installments, and future payments will be made monthly in installments of 3,000 rupees. Additionally, 6,000 rupees per month will be awarded to student monks, Silamatha and lay students who pass the Piriven ordinary level, GCE ordinary level exam and proceed to the Piriven Prachina or GCE advanced level exams up until the month they take the exam. Scholarships are to be awarded for a period of 24 months and 18,000 rupees was credited to each scholarship recipient account on the day of the scholarship ceremony, including outstanding installments. Installment payments will be directly deposited into the bank accounts of the other scholarship recipients who are not able to attend the ceremony in the near future. President Ranil Wickremesinghe said that the scholarship program has a significant background. He said that he doesn't need to elaborate on the hardships faced by the people over the past 4 years due to the economic downturn. The President said that with the stabilization of the country's economy, it is time to provide relief to the people. He said that to this end, we have implemented various initiatives such as Aswasuma and Urumaya. He said that we have also introduced several scholarship programs through the President's Fund to help talented students from low-income families continue their education. He said that given the country's economic situation, monks in rural temples are also facing difficulties and we cannot allow monk education to collapse, so we have to implement the scholarship program for the monks and Silamathas. He added that in focusing on the Buddhist order, we must create the necessary conditions for nurturing a new generation of monks in the country. He said that this scholarship program represents a significant initiative by the government towards that goal. He said that Buddhist education should be preserved and enhanced, and that when the Piriven system was established, he said that he had the opportunity to support. He said that the tide must emphasize that despite the country's challenges, we will never abandon this responsibility.
And for more news here at home, Leader of the House, Minister Susil Premajayantha says that the request made by the parliamentarians regarding the future actions taken with regard to the victims of compulsory burials that took place during the COVID pandemic period will be presented to the next cabinet meeting. He made these remarks in response to a question raised by the opposition leader Sajith Premadasa. Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa said that it is reported that the cabinet has taken a decision to beg pardon regarding the compulsory crematory policy empowered in Sri Lanka during the COVID-19 pandemic period. The current members of the cabinet also raised hands for this decision, and the opposition leader questioned under whose report this wrong decision was taken. Why they committed such a crime against the Muslim community, even disregarding the guidance of the World Health Organization. Minister Susil Premajayantha said that this was the decision taken by the cabinet at the time. Some of the members are now at the position. He said that he was not a member of that cabinet. This matter will be raised at the next cabinet meeting. Actions will be taken with the Ministry of Health and other relevant ministries to provide some relief on behalf of the victims. Opposition leader Sajid Premadasa said that the Supreme Court has decided to suspend the duties of the IGP until the completion of considering the relevant petitions. The Speaker has deliberately violated the Constitution and an action should be taken against him. Minister Susil Premajansa said that there are 9 petitioners, including His Eminence Cardinal. The Supreme Court usually grant leave to consider any petition. If a petitioners request an interim relief, it would also be granted by the Supreme Court. This is the normal procedure. A no-confidence motion was also brought against the Speaker under this matter. However, it was also defeated. Now that we all have to wait till the Supreme Court gives its final decision.
And meanwhile, a meeting of Sri Lanka Podujana Perumana was held at the Vijayaramaya today under the patronage of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa and Basil Rajapaksa. The party activists relentlessly discussed the future election organizing activities of the party at this meeting. National organizer of the Sri Lanka Podujana Perumana parliamentarian Namal Rajapaksa said that party's Politburo will discuss about the party's presidential candidate after the election commission issued the relevant gazette. Accordingly, the party will discuss the names of the candidates and will field the most suitable person. In the party's list, there are Dhammika Pereira and several other candidates. If we select a candidate outside the party, the premiership should be given to the SLPP.
මේ කැබිනට් එකේ අපේක්ෂක දෙන්නෙක් ඉන්නවනේ ජනාධිපතිතුමා තව කෙනෙක්. අපි සාකච්ඡා කරලා තීන්දුවක් ගමු. ඔබතුමා අගමැතිකම දෙන්න දුන්නොත් ගාර ගන්න සූදානම්ද කොහොමද? පක්ෂයට අගමැතිකම ලැබිය යුතුයි කියලා අපි විශ්වාස කරනවා. අපි එළියෙන් අපේක්ෂකෙක් ගේනවා. අපි සංවිධාන ජාලයක් හැටියට
Parliamentarian Johnston Fernando said that SLPP is the leading party with a better organizing network. It is better that both Sajid and Anura are contesting this election. He said that although he is against the policies of Anura Kumara Dissanayaka, he would like him contesting. Since Sajid has contested the last election, people know about his capabilities and weaknesses. The SLPP will win the upcoming election without doubt. State Minister Indika Anuruddha said that the party has a large number of candidates. Many political parties request the SLPP's support at this election.
And in the meantime, President Ranil Wickremesinghe announced that Sri Lanka will implement a strategic plan over the next decade to create job opportunities for its youth domestically, rather than having them seek employment abroad. He notified that failing to execute this plan would undermine the government's significant investment in education and stressed the necessity for Sri Lanka to progress beyond its current status as an underdeveloped nation. Addressing the 106th College Day celebrations of Bandaranaike College, Gampaha today, President Ranil Wickremesinghe highlighted his efforts to reform the education system to better align with the new technologies. He assured that necessary funding will be allocated for this purpose. During the visit, President Wickremesinghe received a warm welcome by the college band, while the cadet corps welcomed him with a presidential salute. He also paid floral tributes at the College War Heroes Memorial, and the President inaugurated the Expand 2024 Education, Science, Technology and Trade exhibition held in conjunction with the College Day celebrations. Bandaranaike College Principal Kasun Gunaratne presented the President with a souvenir of the exhibition. Additionally, the President awarded gifts and certificates to students who achieved outstanding results in the GCE Advanced Level examination. President Ranil Wickremesinghe said that for the past 4 years, we have had to limit spending on education. The President said that now we must invest in education and update the school system with new technology. He said that at today's exhibition, we saw drones created by college students and developments in artificial intelligence within the schools. He said that funding is required for these initiatives and we also need to recruit more teachers. He said that as reached out to Elon Musk for assistance with these educational challenges and to support schools in need. He added that by the end of this month, we aim to provide him with the necessary licenses to support these efforts in Sri Lanka. He said that for the past 4 years, we have been unable to provide sufficient job opportunities, and this number will continue to rise. That we need to address this issue urgently to prevent potential protests and avoid negative international scrutiny. That a major economic transformation is necessary to create jobs and income sources.
ඒ තමයි තමාගේ අනාගතය. අපේ අනාගතය නෙවෙයි. මේ ප්‍රශ්න ගොඩ ගැහුනොත් ආපහු කැරලි කෝලහල වෙන්න පුළුවන්. අපි වටේ තියෙන රටවල් දැන් පේනවා.
And meanwhile, the book compiled by Nadira Madugala under the title of Parliamentarians by Force, Parliamentarians who were evicted from the House by Force, was launched yesterday at a ceremony held in the President's office. She has written this book with a close experience and knowledge with a period of 1 year. She is a Master of Political Science and a journalist specialized in parliamentary affairs. She is now working as the Director of Parliamentary Affairs at the President's Media Division. The first copy of the book was presented to Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena. Keynote address of the event was delivered by parliamentarian Professor Charita Herath. Parliamentarian Professor Charita Herath said that digital media should be emphasized to enhance democracy quality. Physical science also is insufficient for democratic progress. Digital presence is crucial. He said that the book's insight into democracy will become a social commentary in the future. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena said that the book Parliamentary Balahatkare engagingly connects with the people, the parliamentary tradition and democratic heritage. He praised author Nadira Madugala for providing insightful commentary on parliamentary affairs. In his speech, he expressed gratitude for the invitation to the book launch, highlighting the book's contribution to literature through its creative and linguistic richness. Parliamentarian Vajra Abeyawardena said that Nadira's attempt is very important. This is an impartial view of parliamentary affairs. One may think in such a case it is not appropriate for democracy. Such situations are common in Sri Lankan parliament and in the parliaments in other countries as well.
ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදී සමාජවලත් ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදී නොමැති ලෝකේ රටවල් වලත් අපි දැකලා තිබෙනවා විවිධ අවස්ථාවල මේ බලහත්කාරී නැමැති ක්‍රියාවලිය කෙසේද පාලනය කරගෙන ඉදිරියට යන්නේ කියලා.
Nadira Madugala said that she believes every citizen has a duty to protect their country, and without fulfilling this duty, our motherland will be insecure. She said that intimacy and discipline are crucial for this protection. While there are various political views worldwide, democracy is a more important concept.
Meanwhile, the government of Japan has officially decided to resume the disbursement of yen loan projects which have been suspended since Sri Lanka's default in 2022. The decision has been taken following the completion of the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding between the Official Creditor Committee and Sri Lanka on 23rd July and the expression of the willingness by the Government of Sri Lanka to swiftly conclude a bilateral agreement on debt restructuring. The official announcement of Dr. Tanaka Akihiko, President of Japan International Cooperation Agency, on the resumption of the disbursement was handed over to Mr. K. Mahinda Siriwardena, Secretary to the Treasury and the Ministry of Finance, Economic Stabilization and National Policies, by Ms. Ide Yuri, Senior Representative of the JICA Sri Lanka Office. The Government of Sri Lanka, the Embassy of Japan and JICA Sri Lanka Office held a joint media conference this afternoon.
Today marks another important milestone on the long and difficult journey of Sri Lanka's economic recovery. A little over 2 years ago, Sri Lanka's economy was in the worst stages of a deep and unprecedented economic crisis. This provides Sri Lanka with fresh financing to support critical infrastructure development, as just mentioned, and also eases the country's fiscal cash flow pressures, which will help keep domestic interest rate moderate and supportive of economic recovery and growth. The resumption of financing will go a long way towards reigniting sectors such as construction and support numerous jobs and livelihoods with positive multiplier effects along the way. Most importantly, this is a major signal of confidence in the Sri Lankan economic reform process, which is an important signal and catalyst for other development partners and investors.
I would like to congratulate Sri Lankan government for the formal completion of the MOU on debt restructuring between Sri Lanka and the Official Creditor Committee. Under the leadership of His Excellency President Wickramasinghe and the indomitable resolution of Sri Lankan team led by Secretary Siriwardana, the debt restructuring process reached where we are much quicker than was anticipated, surprising many private observers. I am no exception in relishing the pleasant surprise. During her visit to Sri Lanka in May, our Foreign Minister Kamikawa expressed Japan's intention to swiftly resume end loan for existing projects once the MOU on debt restructuring was signed and the Sri Lankan government's intention to promptly conclude a bilateral agreement was confirmed. Now that these conditions have been met, the government of Japan has decided to resume disbursement to end loan projects which have been suspended today. We are here to officially inform the Sri Lankan government of this momentous decision. Today's decision not only resumes loan projects, but also sends a very positive message at home and abroad that Sri Lanka has taken steps towards achieving a full-fledged recovery. This will help Sri Lanka regain confidence from the international community and pave the way for future foreign investment. Today is a new day for Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is now at the start line for a new era of growth and development. Of course, for Sri Lanka to achieve sustainable development, economic cooperation alone is not enough. The thorough implementation of ongoing various social and economic reforms, such as revenue mobilization and anti-corruption measures, are also very important. Furthermore, during the debt deferral period until 2043, it is also crucial to strengthen the foundation of the domestic economy by fostering domestic industries and promoting investment. Japan reaffirms its unwavering commitment to supporting Sri Lanka in these endeavors. I sincerely hope that with the resumption of our loan projects, Sri Lanka will literally revive as a shining island in the Indian Ocean.
And now let's move on to some few more local news items in brief. A fire broke out at the Kaludara District Secretariat premises today. The fire erupted at the main electric circuit of the first floor of the 6-storied building. A fireman who came to douse the fire was hospitalized due to suffocation. Certificates were distributed among a group of students who completed the welding course in Anuradhapura area. The training has targeted employees in local and foreign job market. The ceremony was held with the participation of SLFP General Secretary Parliamentarian Duvinda Disanaika. Police has been able to discover cannabis cultivation in the Hamburgamu area in Thanamalvila. It has a stock of cannabis worth over 5 million rupees. A suspect has been taken into custody in this connection. A stock of heroin with a street value of 2.2 million rupees was discovered by the police STF. It was concealed in an empty water tank at Totilagahapatte area in Menuwangoda. It is reported that the stock has been concealed under the guidance of leading drug smuggler who is in custody, Dangone Avishka alias Kiriputa. Sabaragamu Provincial Council has allocated a sum of 800 million rupees to implement the Sabaragamu Provincial Road Week. Under the project, development of Imbulpitiya Road in Taranegala Electorate was launched today. A sum of about 1.53 billion rupees has been allocated for this road. Sabaragamu Provincial Governor Navin Disanaika was also present at this occasion. A program to empower women entrepreneurs was held at the E.L. Senanaika Library Auditorium in Kandy today under the patronage of Chairperson of the UNP, Lakwanita Perabuna Shantini Kon Gahage. Stay tuned with international news after this break.
உங்கள் லட்சியம் தங்கம் என்றால் அது சுவர்ண பிரதீப தங்க கடன் அடகு சேவை மக்கள் வங்கியிடம் இருந்து.
Welcome back with international stories. And 18 people were reported dead after a plane crashed in Court 5 while it was taking off from Nepal's capital Kathmandu.
And the pilot, who is currently receiving treatment in hospital, is the only survivor of today's fatal accident after being rescued from the burning wreckage. The Saudi Airlines test flight was carrying 17 company employees, including technical staff, as well as 2 crew members. It was bound for the Himalayan tourism hub of Pokhara in country's west. The flight, which was heading for Pokhara as part of a routine maintenance check, crashed about 11:15 local time. A few minutes after it took off from Tribhuvan International Airport, the Nepal Civil Aviation Authority's Search and Rescue Coordination Center said in a statement.
Kamuda macang, prima kotumi, fantamai.
Moving on to sports news. Netmi Ahimsa Purtke, who won a bronze medal at the Under-20 Asian Wrestling Championship tournament, arrived in the island this morning.
And the officials of the Sri Lanka Wrestling Association and several others were present at the airport to welcome her. The Asian Wrestling Championship tournament was held in Thailand with the participation of about 500 players representing many Asian countries. Netmi Ahimsa completed under the 2023 53 kg category. She won a bronze medal, and this is the first time a Sri Lankan player won a bronze medal in an Asian wrestling tournament history. The Sri Lankan Under-20 women's volleyball team, who became the runner-up of the Central Asian Under-20 volleyball tournament, arrived at the island this morning. A group including some officials of the Sri Lanka Volleyball Association were present at the airport to welcome the team. The tournament was held with the Maldives. Sri Lanka played against Kyrgyzstan in the finals. Kyrgyzstan was in the 3-2-0 rounds and became the champions. The runner-up Sri Lanka team, guided by Chathuri Purnima. And meanwhile, the chairman of the Sri Lanka Cricket Selection Committee, Upul Taranga, says that fast bowler Dushmantha Chameera will not have the opportunity to play for the upcoming Indian series.
And meanwhile, the temporary coach of the Sri Lanka cricket team, Sanat Jayasuriya, says that he will take actions to maintain the discipline in the team. These remarks were shared during a media briefing held in Colombo today. Chairman of the Sri Lanka Cricket Selection Committee, Upul Taranga, said that Dushmantha Chameera is one of the best bowlers in Sri Lanka. He did not play during the past period due to some minor injuries. According to the health report, he could not play for the Indian series. We hope to use Pathum Nissanka and Kusal Mendis as our opening batsmen, and he said that Chandimal or Kusal Janith will come to the one-down place.
Temporary coach of the Sri Lanka cricket team, Sanat Jayasuriya, said that he has played for about 22 years for Sri Lankan team and had experienced many coaches. He said that he hopes to do his best to face the challenges with this series. There should be general discipline among players, since this is the game of the gentleman.
Kamuda macang, prima kotumi, fantamai.
And that's it on tonight's stories. Do just tomorrow at the very same time. I'm Charita, signing with Hesha. Stay safe. Good night.